If you don't know what white privilege is, or aren't sure if you've ever witnessed or experienced it, it's not your fault. It's probably just because you're white.
You asked me earlier this morning if I ever saw examples of white privilege out there, and the truth is I didn't. I couldn't come up with anything that I could readily speak to off the top of my head.
There's a reason for that, and this former Lexington detective hit it on the head.
And that may be something that I just am not very perceptive to because I'm white, and as a result, I mean, you could call that privilege in and of itself.
You could call that the very definition of it. Sarah Fahim runs a foundation called We Run with Wolves, which offers personal and corporate empathy training.
White privilege is one of the most enduring forms of privilege.
Sarah endured it in a different manner than most. Her father is Egyptian.
And he's a very dark-skinned man, and so he got pulled over often for that. He got asked questions about how he was raising me.
Questioning him for no other reason than having much darker skin than his daughter. White privilege can come in all forms and fashion, even inside the corner drugstore.
And pick up a prescription or toothpaste and tell the cashier that I don't need a receipt or a bag. I think my siblings of color have been trained their whole lives to get that receipt in that bag because they will be asked if they've stolen something.
Much the way Sarah's father was questioned about his daughter, gave her a deep understanding of the privilege from both spectrums.
People live an existence that is so completely different from yours, you don't actually believe it's happening.
Dr. Mark McCoy at SMU in Dallas, Texas agrees.
You know, it's like fish in water. Fish don't notice that they're in water.
Dr. McCoy got a glimpse into white privilege 2 decades ago. He tweeted about being arrested for accidentally passing a counterfeit bill from an ATM. George Floyd was accused of the same. That tweet garnered more than 2 million likes, and McCoy was asked by Newsweek magazine to write about the experience.
I don't think it says anything about the moral character of people who don't notice their own white privilege. That's understandable. But we've got a lot of tools now.
And as we know, tools can be used to fix things.
White privilege is certainly a barrier to realizing Dr. King's dream. But as I always say, the ultimate issue is a lack of common memory.
And white people do not have that common thread, never will. But maybe for the first time, we have a real and honest good start.
The vast majority of people who have interacted with that message have been positive.
Positivity is one thing. What we really need is understanding, recognition.
Most white people don't believe in the history.
Most white people don't even believe in the privilege.
It means that your hardships and the way that you have suffered is not because of the color of your skin.
I am very well aware of what kinds of advantages I have in the world.
2 men, 1 white, 1 black, accused of the same crime. One was just published in Newsweek. The other was eulogized yesterday. You needn't know the whole story to know which was which. That too is white privilege. Michael Berk for Evening Edition. Somehow they made it work along Cynthiana's main drag, even during a pandemic.
We're really proud of our small town and how well they've handled things.
Handled things so well that not a single business has been lost due to the spread of COVID-19, even during that springtime lockdown period.
I want to say that Cynthiana has a little bit of magic here. Everyone kind of supports each other and comes together for each other.
But magic is nothing more than an illusion. And if smoke and mirrors were all they had here in Cynthiana over the last 9 months, no business owner would have survived, including the 4 young ladies we spoke with. In the 18 months since opening, Carrie Rydell's Burley Market and Cafe has become famous for its coffee and cinnamon rolls.
We hit the 16,000 cinnamon roll mark just this past month.
Rydell was fortunate. She could offer a socially distanced curbside pickup. Can't really do that inside Spot 213 on Main. Holly Burton's doors were closed for 10 weeks.
We were blessed to have had a little bit of money put back just for an emergency fund, so that helped us.
And once the stay-at-home order was lifted, her regular clients got in a long line. That helped too.
When we got back, the first day we opened, there were 36 messages on our answer machine.
That's because everyone in town needed a haircut, or color, or both. Or as Holly pointed out, some needed their spa treatment for medical reasons. While we were all on hiatus, no one forgot who provided those services in this town, and no one forgot where they shopped for the latest styles or gifts.
They never really stopped, pushing for us, whether that was sharing or doing curbside pickup with us or online.
Those avenues saved Kaylee's business. She bought the Emerson Steel Boutique only 1 year ago. Stacy Eckler's Inspired Design Boutique had to adjust as well, even at times eating some profit just to make ends meet. But the community rewarded her too.
Our whole community is, they are like the soul. They support something's going on, they support.
But as the virus continues to spread, that support needs to continue, both from within and outside this community.
It's a nice little small town getaway for shopping and lunch.
And for those famous cinnamon rolls. Where would Cary be without them?
People are truly keeping our doors open one cinnamon roll at a time.
While other doors stay open, one haircut at a time, or one piece of clothing at a time.
With Cynthiana, we can do anything. I honestly think so. When we come together and we continue to support each other, I think we can make it through anything.
Our community is always there and ready to step up to help our businesses be successful.
The community, the people here are cheering all of us on.
And there is something magical about that. At the very least, keeping businesses afloat during a pandemic has been a neat trick in this small town. In Cynthiana, Michael Berk, LEX-18 News. They say time heals all wounds, but they never tell you how much time, do they?
It's just as hard, it's just as tough, it's just as fresh for all of us.
It's 14 years to the day since Comair Flight 5191 attempted a takeoff from Bluegrass Airport, but the captain and first officer accidentally taxied to the incorrect runway. It was too short. The landing gear clipped a nearby fence. 49 souls were lost. The lone survivor, First Officer Jim Palenke, who at times shared the flight deck with Captain Jerry Izzo.
Really an excellent pilot, and I remember on the trip that we flew together, I remember looking at him. I was the captain, he was the first officer. I said, doggone it, your landings are better than mine.
But the two haven't spoken since, as Jim was left with numerous injuries, including brain trauma. Jerry comes here on August 27th of most years, as his flying schedule permits. But he's never too far from the scene, and his friend Jim is never too far from his mind.
In fact, I just went through my recurrent training, my annual recurrent training with my current airline, and we talked about this accident.
So they can learn from mistakes. 5191 was, according to this veteran pilot, just an accident in every sense of the word. A perfect storm of imperfections on the ground, which prevented them from safely going wheels up.
They were trying to dot the I's and cross the T's and check all the blocks. And it was an honest mistake.
But in aviation, an honest mistake can cost you everything. The families of 49 lost souls can attest to that.
It's still just a knife to the heart.
And no one can tell the captain how much time will heal that wound. In Lexington, Michael Berk, LEX-18 News.